It is. What is it? It's August 12th, 2023. It's a Saturday. Just recognizing that it's a Saturday right now because I worked all day. When I'm leaving the house and there's too many people out. I live rurally, so it's definitely a Saturday because they're not at work. But I got the old mind cooking, and I think a lot. I listen to meditation music while I work, so I can think and talk to myself and have my own thoughts. When you listen to music that's got lyrics to it, you have the thoughts of the artist, where you start programming yourself with the thoughts of the artist. So I was thinking about natural order and corrupted order, and I was on the Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it, and my feed gets a lot of borderline political things, borderline red pill things, and memes. But there's always arguments about feminine nature, and I think one thing that we don't hear about is what's going on today is not feminine nature. Women are being toxically masculine because they don't understand masculinity because they're women. So if you ever need like a place to start figuring things out, propaganda is amazing for this, because you can get a good jump off point if you can critically think and not get caught up in the propaganda of both sides. You can get a good jump off point by being contrarian and then sand the edges off and figure out where the truth is. So one of the reasons that there's a whole movement on the left about toxic masculinity is because that's the red herring. Once you start the conversation, in order to get to the truth, when the conversation is started incorrectly, if they get a couple years advance in pushing that narrative, a lot of times you have to try to get the narrative back to zero and then to truth. Similar to like if somebody taught you a foreign language but it was incorrect, and then you go to that foreign country and you're like, they taught me gibberish. Not only do you have to learn the foreign language now, you have to unlearn what you learned about that language, and that's really difficult in your brain. So you have to unlearn what was wrong on the topic because you weren't a blank slate, and then relearn the correct thing, and you're going to keep swapping them for a little while. So there is quite a bit of toxic masculinity in society today, and it is perpetrated by females for the most part, because they're trying to be masculine, and many times they look at masculinity as a negative thing, that or they want to be masculine because they're taught to be equal with feminism, but since they don't have the testosterone, the mindset, the gene sets that is natural, it gets co-opted. So when you see photos online and people are showing the 1950s, the 1940s, the 1930s, and men are in really good shape, and there's just beautiful architecture and beautiful paintings, and the world is filled with beauty and health, and they call this white supremacy. What you're looking at is uncorrupted natural order, and when I say natural order, I mean regulated by real life consequences, not engineered consequences of a government with a gun or social pressure with a gun. I'm talking about when you get closer to science and natural order. You know, when you throw a ball, it falls at 9.8 meters per second squared minus friction. But when you're looking at these societies, what you're looking at is men are creating these things. So yes, men created society, but they create a matriarchal society. That beauty, men create for women. So that beauty that you see is based on men protecting, saving, cherishing, and keeping women safe, so that, you know, it's similar to growing a flower or a plant. You give it the right amount of water, sunlight's up, and then it blooms, and it's very beautiful. So when women are put in charge of households, today they're like, when the propaganda comes out, they're like, well, I shouldn't have to cook. I'm not cooking for you. And then men are like, you're going to cook for me. That's what happened in the 30s. And neither of them understand what was going on. So what's closer to what was happening was that women were in charge of the family, not forcefully, but out of love. They loved their children, they loved their husband, they loved themselves. And when you get into that state of self-love, family love, it branches out into communal love. And then it goes into local love, state love, love of country, love of world, love of universe, which is all love of God. And when the man's collecting resources and bringing home, the woman is cooking healthy, balanced meals. The mothers that know what they're doing, it's you know, now you can look it up on books and stuff, so you have less of an excuse. But back then, they would chit chat with one another. So if you're a woman with a handsome wife and healthy husband and healthy kids, and you chit chat about what meals you're making, then you start making healthy meals like that woman. And then when you had unhealthy families, you're like, well, I'm not going to eat like so-and-so. Did you see how big she is? We have to use twice as much cloth to make her dresses. So the gossip goes around. So I want you to kind of look back in society and understand it's twofold. That these men that had chiseled bodies, and you see like these men like running and like doing monkey bars and calisthenics and stuff in the 70s, or you see people at the beach and they're skinny and thin and stuff. The men were in shape and they're healthy and they look good and they're beautiful. But remember that the wives were the ones in charge of the meals and the food. So that was a visual representation of natural matriarchy and love for your husband, your family, your sons, and your community, and so on and so forth. Same thing when you see like a white picket fence and you saw flowers and you saw a manicured lawn. Now it's like, oh, the wife is nagging me to cut the lawn. But basically, once you've got, it's similar to what Jordan Peterson says, like, clean your room. So once you've cleaned your room and you've cleaned your house and you've cleaned your traumas and you've manifested this, and now this woman has a husband and the husband has cleaned his traumas and stuff and so on and so forth, and now they have a family, and now they can go outside of the house and the yard is manicured and it's clean and there's no trash, and it's a visual representation of their inner love coming outward. And then the community hall is clean. How about you? I'm sure you've seen these beautiful, amazing women that just like, I just remember being in student council in high school, and I'm just like, yeah, let's just do cool stuff. And quite a few women would win, and they're like, okay, so we have to cut snowflakes for the prom. And they're like, oh, Jesus. And I'm like, I'll do the money part. You guys can cut snowflakes and hang them from the ceiling. But they wanted to beautify everything outward and make it designed and have a safe, fun, exciting, clean area for everybody to enjoy. It's part of positive femininity when they feel safe, protected, loved, and that their work is not going to get destroyed. When they have to step into the masculine roles, when they become single mothers, this is when you see a household and the grass is not cut, where the trees are out of shape, or the fences are out of shape, or the blinds are crooked, or you go inside, it's dirty and smelly and not organized, and there's women living there, you know that the internal part is like that. So when you see these girls taking selfies of themselves online and TikTok and stuff, and you see these bedrooms, and there's just hundreds and thousands of different outfits and clothes on the ground and hairbrushes and whatever. A cluttered room is a cluttered mind, is a cluttered person. You can fight me on this, but I know I spend time every day cleaning and organizing, and I have some dust in my house. I could be a little bit better with it, but I'm busy doing men's stuff, and I don't have a woman to do the female matriarchal beautification of my domicile. But I'm at my destination, but if you look back in society and you look at these beautiful artworks and these sculptures and the beauty and everything that's put into the world, even though it was created by men, it was made, designed for women, or suggested by women. And the idea of the nagging is nagging exists, but nagging is the weapon of a woman with low verbal skills, and a low connection with the people that are around her. So they use nagging because they have low verbal skills. A woman with a higher IQ and better verbal skills can articulate with you why they want something done or they need something from you. You know, like, can you please get the ladder from the garage for me, or whatever, the step ladder, you know. And if you're like, well, I'm in the middle of something right now, they could get upset and say, could you get the ladder for me? If they say, hi, I'm 90 pounds and I'm going to go clean the house, but when I'm 90 pounds and I can't carry that ladder or reach anything because I'm 5'2", I need it now so I can clean and leave you alone. Then you're like, okay, makes sense. So let me go get that step ladder now for you. You can have that. You do your thing, and then I can get back to doing my thing. So it's a communication thing. But all in all, a woman with good verbal skills and an IQ will suggest to you ways to make the world around you better and more beautiful. And then men like to do that. But it's a positive, feminine action, and then a positive masculine action. And what we're seeing today is toxic masculinity, but it's not toxic masculinity perpetrated by men. It's a toxic masculinity perpetrated by feminists and women trying to pretend that they're got male genome and DNA and everything. So just want to get those notes out there for myself in the future.